This week on Nobody's Home, we are breaking down one of the most exciting storylines in wrestling, how it started, how it's going, and maybe even where it might end up. Stick around for more.
Okay, J.A.
Welcome back to Nobody's Home on the Cheap Seats Network. My name's Chase Brown, and with me today, Evan Boffman.
Chase, I am so excited to be back on Nobody's Home talking some wrestling. Just to give you guys a little peek behind the curtain, per se, here at the Cheap Seats, Chase and I decided to really take our interest in wrestling and kind of segment it up until we find something we're really interested in to give that content to you guys. And, well, we have found something that we are both very interested in.
Yeah, that's really true, Evan. We definitely found it. It's been a difficult road as far as wrestling in general goes for the past several months. The landscape has changed a lot, some for the good, some for bad. But, we have decided that this is taken Nobody's Home recently, and we've taken that and we've, watched some movies. We were starring professional wrestlers. And I think that's been a good little twist on the show. But today we're going to get back to those roots that we started off Nobody's Home with a very, very exciting storyline that we haven't really even talked about, Evan and I. We haven't really gotten into it too much. I was going to mention something to Evan, and he stopped me. He's like, you know what? Let's do this, and let's talk about it, and let's get this
Yeah.
all, and just let's get in and dive into what we want to get into. So, Evan, I'll leave it off to you, man.
Mm-hmm.
What storyline? What topic? What are we getting into, man? What are we talking about?
Well, ladies and gentlemen, in the world of wrestling today, there has been a particular feud over a particular title on SmackDown that has caught my eye, and that would be Roman Reigns and Jey Uso for the Universal Championship. They've had two matches so far, but before we get into this current situation, Chase, I think we need to give the background as to both of these individuals and even maybe Roman Reigns' consultant Paul Heyman's role into this as well.
Sure, and even hearing that Roman Reigns consultant Paul Heyman, that puts us at a completely different angle and level that we've seen Roman Reigns have before, Jay. Before. And you're right, this has been a very big, storied, heavy
Mm-hmm.
storyline, and there's a lot we could talk to about it. There's a lot of jumping off points that we could maybe get into and talk about. But yeah, man, I think let's break this thing down, man. Roman Reigns and Jey Uso. Now, I'll ask you just to start off, kind of, a little bit late. Your perception. What is your perception of these two? Let's just say early 2020. Everything's going smooth. We're at a point where Roman Reigns is he's been back for a little while now
Mm-hmm.
from his leukemia resurging, and he's kind of been in these smaller feuds. And the Usos, after like a 5 month hiatus, come back
Yeah.
in January of 2020. So just at that point, like, what's in your head about these guys?
Yeah. So Roman Reigns has a very, very, very known history within the WWE universe, and it's been one of, I would say, anger and frustration. Just being that Roman Reigns has been the product of the WWE system for a very long time and has been portrayed as such, and fans have seen that, inciting the boos and everything during his Royal Rumble win, during his championship wins. And then the earth shattering news came of his leukemia. And that was a fourth wall breaking event that changed the perception of Roman Reigns. He went from being Roman Reigns, the WWE creation, to Joe. He even said it,
Yeah.
in that promo he cut.
Yeah, even
And
to just to sneak in there for one
yeah.
quick second, you're absolutely right about that. That was about 2 years ago. It was late October when this happened, and
Mhm.
even while he's giving that speech, the start of his speech is filled with mostly boos and just
Yep.
yelling and what chants and things of that nature. But by the time we got to the end of it, his reveal and the things like that, everyone was on his side. It seemed like the Roman Reigns that the WWE was kind of expecting that moment, those reactions at that moment.
Yes, and I think that moment in so many different ways is the pivotal moment, will be the pivotal moment in Roman Reigns' career. And I'll tell you why. It's because that moment marked a change for him and for the crowd's perception of him. Like I stated before, the crowd went from seeing him to more of a person, and you saw that when he came back. You know, the crowd reaction was a lot less negative. It was a lot less of a hate. There was still some like like you said, very middling feuds, but they started to recognize him for the potential he always had, and that is a great wrestler. And he's known truthfully as a locker room leader as well. That's been something that everyone has said about Roman Reigns. Go ahead if you had a point in there too.
No, I was just saying that you're absolutely right about that. I mean, he came back and we kind of, we started off a little bit slow. I think the first things that he was really doing was against Drew McIntyre, and that's before he was the champion. So he was, it was just kind of like these, smaller feuds just to get him back into the works of things, and then things with Corbin and Ziggler and things like that. Just kind of easing him back into where he can be a permanent part of the roster again and go full time. Just these small things, still at pay-per-view, still on cards, just not main eventing them.
Yes, and speaking to that announcement, when he came back, it seemed he had it seemed like he himself could let go of the idea that he had to be Roman Reigns. He had to be this creation that they put out there in the lines that he said. And I personally think that kind of gave him the drive to go find. I mean, he's always had this drive, if I'm being honest, but it gave him the standing to have the say, I'm taking control of this character. And that is where we lead down this road where we start seeing him. He comes back, he's pretty bland, and he leaves because of the outbreak. And of course, and it wasn't because of leukemia. He has stated that it was because his wife had just given birth and he had new children. So he did not want to infect them. But he comes back at SummerSlam, if I'm not mistaken. And he immediately, has a different vibe to him. He beats the living crap out of both The Fiend and Braun Strowman.
Yeah.
And it is vicious in some sense. And you see that Roman Reigns isn't necessarily the same Roman Reigns. And along the way, you find out he has a new consultant in Paul Heyman.
Yeah.
Who, if you know the history, Paul Heyman has played a pretty pivotal role in Roman Reigns' history as well, being the many feuds with Brock Lesnar.
Definitely.
And the building up. And Paul Heyman has always said outside of WWE that Roman Reigns and him would make a good fit. And lo and behold, they're together. He wins the Universal title in convincing fashion, and turns out that he is now, I wouldn't say an outright heel, but he's acting very similar to that.
Definitely.
And then Chase, I'll let you take it away, where Jey Uso enters the picture.
I was going to say it'd be a good parallel to talk about Jey Uso and also his perception before all of this too, because like I said, we hadn't seen the Usos towards the end of 2019. They were off television for a while, but before that, we knew the Usos, Jimmy and Jay, as this tag team, the Uso Penitentiary. They are not just a middling tag team either. One of the best tag teams around. They had these incredible matches that with the New Day and other tags that really went the distance. I think about that Hell in a Cell match back in 2018 very, very often. It's one of my favorite matches between the New Day and Usos. So yeah, we see them, and we know them as Rikishi's kids. You know what I mean?
Yes.
We know them as
Important note.
Yes, yeah, we know them as this, the Samoan bloodline, and same thing for Rowan Reigns. They have this kind of big, this heritage behind them, but always kind of, like they were the funny guys. They were the guys that you could put on TV, and everybody was going to give them love, and everybody was going to be behind them, and everybody was going to let them do their thing. So when they came back at the beginning of 2020 this year, they came back to good fashion the same. They helped out Reigns when it came to Ziggler and Corbin and things like that. And, it was a good little return for them. They didn't do too much more with Reigns after that. They kind of, started doing separate things. And obviously Reigns wasn't around much longer. I think right before April, he bounced out. He's supposed to be in that Universal title match for WrestleMania against Goldberg, but they replaced him with Braun. Where Braun ended up winning, which takes us to that SummerSlam match where The Fiend defeats Braun
Yeah.
and Reigns comes back. So at that point, the Usos, they're still around doing their thing, and we get to the point where now, Jay's kind of taking that lead moment. I think it was like early September where he's like, it's good to see you back, big dog. Like, cousins, this and that, blah
Yes.
blah blah. But like Paul Heyman, Paul Heyman, like you were saying, like Paul Heyman's been a that's been against you for years and years and years through these Brock Lesnar feuds and things like that. But this is the guy
Yeah.
that you want to like hook up with now and like and
Yep.
go on the side with. It's a little shady. So yeah, that takes us to that moment, that early September after SummerSlam, to where this stuff kind of starts really kicking off and getting good.
Yes, and correct me if I'm wrong, but Jimmy was hurt
Jimmy
in
was
the
hurt.
spring,
Exactly. Yeah.
correct?
Jimmy, I still has not, I believe, hasn't performed since.
He
I
has. He's
think
been on
he's,
TV and some stuff we'll talk about, but at the
yeah,
same time, he's not cleared to wrestle.
exactly. Correct.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so they were off TV for a bit, and then Jay, I think his first appearance, besides maybe some random cameos, was this this match that Roman Reigns and Paul Heyman get him into a fatal 4-way for the
Yeah.
number one
Yeah.
contendership for the Universal title, and everyone
Yeah.
in the
If I'm not
match,
mistaken,
rightfully so. Go ahead, go ahead.
I was just saying, if I'm not mistaken, it was Matt Riddle, it was Sheamus, and it was Corbin. Is that right? Or was it
Yes, and
somebody
it
else?
it was supposed to be
Okay.
that and Big E, but
And it
Big
was supposed to be
E,
Big E, and
yes, but
Sheamus took out Big E. Right.
correct. So they pulled some strings and got Jey Uso into that fourth spot in the 4-way, which the competitors in the match were very, very curious about.
Hmm.
And Jey Uso went on to win, which was a great 4-way, win the number one contendership for the Universal title against Roman Reigns. And it was, Jay very excited, thinking he has earned the opportunity, but always the slightest hint and great, great character work that there was something more at play from Roman and Paul Heyman here. More
Sure.
like I don't want to say a mob boss per se, but it was
Right.
kind of that sense like, yeah, good job. This is what I wanted to happen. And
Right.
so the next few weeks occur, and they end up, I think, having some tag matches against Sheamus and Corbin, and
Hmm.
they're together, but every so often Jay might do something that Roman doesn't like. And the one thing that I want to point out, he touched the Universal title. And Roman laughed about it, but then Jay turned around, and the face Roman Reigns made looked like he wanted to murder Jey Uso. And great storytelling on WWE's part. We don't always see this, but the next week Jay comes out and says, What was with that, man? What was with
Hmm.
that?" And this is when we start seeing the
Yeah.
character that Roman Reigns is developing, and that he is the head of the table, the tribal chief, Roman
Yeah. I mean,
Reigns.
yeah, man. He tells even Jay, we can compete for the Universal title. We can
Yes.
do that. Like, you're my cousin, you're my blood. Of course we can do this. We've thought about this for
Yes.
years. We've thought about going up against each other and doing this thing for years, but I'm cool with doing it. Just the thing is, you won't win.
Mhm.
And you won't win because of two things. One, because I'm in your way, and two, you wouldn't know what to do if you did win. You wouldn't know how to handle the status. You wouldn't know how to carry yourself. I'm the big dog for a reason. I'm the head of the table. I'm the tribal chief. You wouldn't know what to do in this position.
It's give me some goosebumps hearing you say it, Chase, because it came seemingly from the heart. And again, this is, I want to point out, this is the first sign that this feud is different, because there is no bad guy and good guy in their
Sure.
minds.
Sure.
Roman Reigns is now acting as if this is his family, this is what he has to do, and he is the only one that can do it. Again, we've seen it in classic storylines. Like, why did Stone Cold turn on The Rock? He had to win the WWE Championship.
Right.
He had to do it. Roman Reigns now is saying he has to be the champion because
Mm.
he needs to represent. He talked about what had happened to the title when he wasn't holding it. He is the champion. He is the rightful
Sure.
champion, and that's his whole thing. And you see Jey Uso start to have this little bit of a complex that, what are you talking about? I can't do it. Like, he is cutting some of the most passionate promo. The Usos have always been amazing, underrated promos, but some of the promos Jey
100%.
Uso has cut in the last 2 months have been some of the best promos I've heard in WWE in years.
Yeah.
And I don't
Yeah.
know if
No,
it's his
yeah.
cadence, if it's the natural way with which he speaks, it sounds like he is talking for like himself. And it's come
Mhm.
out that Reigns and Uso have been given some freedoms to kind of do that, and you can totally tell, totally tell.
Yeah.
But at the same time, he's starting to develop this little bit of a complex and trying to prove himself, and then he ends up attacking Reigns. He beats him with a chair. Chase beats him with a chair, his own cousin. And then guess what? Roman Reigns, it shakes it off. And I believe, was it a Superman punch at first, or was it the spear?
Superman punch.
Superman punches Jey Uso. And then I believe the angle before that, it might have been right around this too. Jey Uso was standing at the top of the ramp, and he turned around into a Superman punch before that, right?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
that is correct. And that's when he grabbed his head and was, you can never have this. Like that, he was like, you can never have this. Like, I'm the chief. I'm the tribal chief. And then it leads to the Clash of Champions match, Jey Uso versus Roman Reigns. Talk a little bit about that, Chase, because I want to hear your opinion of it.
Yeah, I mean that match specifically, I really, I really enjoy the angle that they're playing Roman Reigns to where it's just like, like I told you so. Like he's supposed to be here for a reason. Like he is the guy for a reason. Um, I like I like that, that they're not putting it to the position where Jay Uso is all of a sudden like the best on the roster.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously he's known Reigns for his entire life. He has worked in the WWE for a very long time, so he can get in there and he can still hang and he can still
I
be a
love
part of it.
that you made that point. I love that you made that point. Remember
Yeah,
that point.
go for it. Yeah, what's up?
Well, I was. It's later on when we get into it,
Okay.
so I'll hold it.
Yeah, so I mean, think of everything leading up to that point to finally get to where we can toe to toe at Clash of Champions.
Yeah, and that whole match, it was a fantastic match. It went back and forth, and Jay really proved that he could hang with Roman Reigns. He thought he had Roman Reigns multiple times, and to be frank, he was getting beat so bad that Jimmy came out, and because guess what, Jey Uso would not call Roman Reigns the head of the table. He would not do it. Paul Heyman was on the side going, "You are my tribal chief." And it was great. And Roman's like, I want him to say it. He was in that match, the way he was working the referee. I don't know if you've noticed that during that whole. I thought it was some of the best referee work in the entirety of wrestling that I've seen lately. And that's such an underrated part of a wrestling match is the referee. But it ends up being that he's beating Jay so bad, Jimmy throws in the towel for Jay because he will not call him the head of the table. So Roman wins, and the Usos are left laying, both of them. We get to the next night on SmackDown on Friday, and Jay is furious. He wants another opportunity at Roman, and Roman says, "You can have it, of course. You're family. I love you, but I'm letting you know there'll be consequences."
Yeah.
And that was it. And he said, "Whatever it is, you're on." And what happened the next week, Chase?
So yeah, we get to the next week, and it's it's not too long between Clash of Champions and Hell in a Cell.
Only like 2 weeks, I think. 3 maybe.
Yeah, I think it's maybe 2 or 3 weeks. So where Jay is ready. He's ready for Hell in a Cell. He's ready for whatever stipulation Roman has to throw at him, and Roman throws an I Quit match in there. It's a very, very interesting spot we got here. But I think even before that, we had the kind of the swerve of I think of Jimmy posing as Jay. And,
that was a good angle. Yes,
Jimmy posing as Jay and Jay coming in there and wreaking a little havoc on Romy Rome.
Did.
Yeah, we get to that point where it's like we're gonna do the I Quit match, and listen, when I make you quit, like that's it. I'm the head of the table. There's no argument. There's no discussion. When I win, when I beat you in heavy fashion, it's over for you.
Yes, and that's been Roman Reigns' thing the whole time. His character has not changed. He will give Jey Uso as many opportunities as he wants because he loves him and he is family, but he's just telling him that he cannot beat on him like this anymore. Like, this is it. There are consequences this time. These opportunities aren't free, and this time it's happening, and it's I Quit match inside Hell in a Cell. I don't think that's ever happened. And the match itself is one of my favorite matches this year. Genuinely. It is a fantastic match right from the get-go. Spears, splashes, everything. The psychology in this match is amazing. Roman Reigns has pulled out a new like chokehold that he's been working people with. He made Braun Strowman tap with it, but it gets to the point where he is literally choking out Jey. Jey is unresponsive. Jimmy has come down, and I don't believe in an I Quit match. Someone else can quit for you, if I'm correct, right? So Reigns starts to cry, like literally cry, and he's like, I don't know who I am anymore. He's like, I don't want to do this, and he's just speaking. But the thing is, it's acting in the world of wrestling, but he's not crying fake. That's real tears, because what he's speaking of, what he doesn't want to do, is he knows what he has to do, and Jimmy Uso, still hurt, reaches out to grab Roman, and Roman pulls him in and starts choking him.
Yeah.
And then Jey sees this, sees this, and that's when he says, I quit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Roman, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I loved a lot of that match. You were speaking about the psychology of the match a lot. One of my favorite bits of the match is when we are at that moment where Roman's just like, you have to quit. I don't want to keep going, this and that. And then we even have officials and, people backstage coming out in the ring, and they're gotta open the cell. We're getting in there. We have to get this. We have to stop this. So what Roman does, he's just like, all right, well, I guess everybody's staying. So he goes and he closes the door behind him, and then he keeps up the brutality. And that just shows you he is fighting something far bigger than himself in that situation. And he goes on right to choke out Jimmy and thus making Jey quit. Not Jey quitting from his own brutality, but from quitting from not wanting to see anything happen to his brother.
And then that leads them, a great match leads to the latest thing that we've seen. And that was
just to
SmackDown.
preface, we haven't seen, we're taping this a day before the new SmackDown. So the last thing we saw is what we're about to talk about.
And the last thing we saw was Jey came out and said, like, how could you do this to me, man? You know, the only thing I would do to quit, like, and you took advantage of it. And Roman just, he said, I love you, but he's like, by the end of the night, you'll, the consequences were, he said, fall in line. And I think it's important to mention that after that Hell in a Cell match, I believe it was Sika and
it was Sika and Ika or whatever, I think the names are. The Samoan, the Wild Samoans.
Yes, the Wild Samoans put a lay on Roman Reigns, denoting him the head of the table. They denoted him the head of the table.
Yeah.
And he tells Jey, you're out. If you don't fall in line, your kids, your brother, you're all out. And Jey couldn't,
children,
he couldn't do it at first, and then leads to the main event. Daniel Bryan versus Jey Uso for a spot on the Survivor Series team for SmackDown. And another great match, man. Jey Uso can wrestle his ass off. Like, I'm not even joking with that. Like, go watch this match. But Jey Uso wins clean as a button with Roman and Paul Heyman watching on. Roman steps into the ring, and Jey says, I'm with you. I get it. I'm with you. And Roman looks at Daniel Bryan, and he says, prove to him, show him, I think it says, show him how much you love me. And like, watching it, dude, I got like chills up my spine. And then he proceeds to beat the crap out of Daniel Bryan.
Yeah.
And then he put him through a table with a splash to end the show. And then it literally goes off air with Roman walking away, and you hear in the background Jey slamming Daniel Bryan's head on the floor.
There was even a little bit more. I don't know if you saw this. There's a little more exclusive footage that they showed on the WWE YouTube of just Jey Daniel Bryan's on a stretcher, and Jay is continuing the brutality. He's not letting up at all. He's keeping the damn thing going.
Hmm.
Really, really, really great stuff and a great angle. And like you were saying before, just to touch on it a little bit, you're absolutely right about just the way Jay carries himself as far as speaking and everything.
Hmm.
There's some wrestlers that you'll watch and you'll say, okay, well, this is that person as a wrestler. Like this is that person acting as a wrestler, talking or giving a speech, giving a promo, whatever. When
Yeah.
you watch Jay, Jimmy, Roman right now, it just feels like them. It doesn't feel like there's any
Hmm.
blurred lines between who's the real, where does this guy stop and where does this guy start. It's just it feels so natural and it feels so good. And even when even when the way he moves around the ring, the way he just reacts to pain and things like that just seem so much more natural, I guess,
Hmm.
than a lot of people on the roster do. So I mean, we're up to this point now, man, to where we have Jay under, with going, I want to be on your side. I don't want to have my brother and my wife and my children not be a part of this tribe, a part of this bloodline. Like we need this. So I'm gonna do as you said, and I'm gonna fall in line.
I think I want to get back to your point now of that I believe it was Jay, just that chip on his shoulder, right? And I think everyone's losing a little bit in the sense that he had this pent up frustration, this anger, and this ability that he has gained through this fight with Roman Reigns, right?
Yeah.
And on the main event of SmackDown, after he's been through these encounters, battered and bruised from Hell in the Cell, everything, he beats Daniel Bryan. Daniel fucking Bryan, excuse me, clean in the middle of the ring.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, absolutely.
just the intricacies in this story, and that what tells me is now, guess what? That turn that he did makes sense because he sees it the way Roman sees it now. He
Hmm.
sees it in the sense of this is what I have to be for my family.
Right.
Being against Roman has made me better, not only in the ring, but as a man. I'm doing things that
Sure.
I've never done before. He's never been a singles competitor. Now he's one of the main 5 on SmackDown Survivor Series team
Right.
after all
Exactly.
this stuff with Roman. So I'm thinking in my head, what this is going to be progressed is that Jay was nothing before Roman. And now
Yeah.
the mastery of this character that Roman Reigns has become, now
Mhm.
knowing what he is as the guy in the company and showing people you have to fall in line with me because it's the way you win. It is the inverse of what the fans have always said of him. Now he's taking it and saying, okay, you think that of me? That's what I'm going to be.
Right. Right. Yeah, you're absolutely right, man. And it's been such a strong journey since those early September days to now early
Mm-hmm.
November with this story going on.
Yep.
My biggest question, I guess, for you is where do we go from here? I know we have Survivor Series coming up in a week or Jay is on Team SmackDown, and
Mm-hmm.
Reigns is going to be going up against Orton, which I'm really, really, really excited for. But what happens? What goes on? What happens after this, leading up until the rest of the year's pay-per-views, until early
Mm-hmm.
next year, where we're at the Rumble, and then we have WrestleMania again. What
Yeah,
do you think?
I think this was another master stroke in storytelling with the third member. Well, Jimmy Uso, I believe, will fall in line as well. I think since Jay did, you'll see Jimmy do it as well, and we'll have that faction. This I don't think they'll
Any
call it
resistance, you
anything.
think, or you
I
think
think there might be
he's
some
right in
there.
there?
I think it's just going to be a situation where that's his twin brother,
Right.
and he's just going to do it because
Fair
that
enough.
is what his twin brother has done, and he's one of those things where you go with the people you trust, and
Sure.
he
Sure.
already's
Sure.
done it, so I don't think he's ever going to go against Jay. But and then I believe in not, maybe not in the short term, but the long term, maybe for the Royal Rumble, we're going to see Roman Reigns versus Daniel Bryan because
Okay.
how on earth you take one of the biggest baby faces on SmackDown and make him more of a babyface without really he wasn't even in this storyline. He even spoke about Jay earlier in that show, saying how impressed he was of Jay and that
Yeah.
he wasn't going to just roll over him. He was a real superstar.
Mm-hmm.
But then that's I just think that now that creates a new layer for Daniel Bryan where he has something to do now, where he comes back. Is it against Jay or Roman? I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's a part of this. And I think you're going to end up seeing My hope is that Roman runs this mob style, maybe even expanding a little bit over SmackDown until WrestleMania, where I see him taking on I don't know if I want to give this away. Should I? My Royal Rumble pick? I already have one.
Yep, give it.
Big E.
Okay.
Yeah,
I like
Roman
that.
Big E at Mania.
Okay, I'm all over that, man. I like the way that sounds.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good idea.
And you can sprinkle
Roman
in the
versus
New Day Uso, a little bit of that in there.
sure you could. That's a good idea. I
Yeah.
think that sounds great to me.
Could,
Yeah,
real quick, could you imagine a
I would love to
WrestleMania
see an
main
angle like
event?
that.
Big E, Roman Reigns, where Usos come down when the refs knock down, and the New Day, for the first time since they broke up, come down to save Big E and give him a shot against Roman.
That'd be pretty epic, man.
That'd be a moment. That's a moment that deserves fans in the arena.
I know. I think you're absolutely right about that. Yeah, man. I think that'd be a damn good story. I think that'd be a damn good angle, and I think that gives this a lot of life and a lot of room to breathe because it doesn't have to make them do a whole bunch of things in the between time. They can let this stuff kind of breathe and let it develop and let it become something, not just rush things along and put it or just because they want to do something down that week. It gives them a lot of time to let them really dive into this. Let us get a really solid championship reign from Roman Reigns and do some damn good things. I think that's an awesome, awesome take.
Now, Chase, I have one big question for you, and it might be speaking a little a little grand, but I think it's a justifiable thing. Is Roman Reigns is Roman Reigns the best wrestler on the planet right now?
Oh, that is a big. Very honest with you, I think that we might have even been watching. I think we were watching SummerSlam together. When Roman Reigns screen and I read his shirt that said "Wreck everybody and leave," I saw that he was a little tighter looking, a little thinner. I was like, "Damn, this is who I know they thought Roman Reigns was in 2015. This is who I've been wanting to see and what I've been wanting to come out of this guy." So, honestly, man, I gotta say, I think so. I don't think anyone's touching him right now. I think that Roman has got it in the bag, and as long as he keeps this up to where we get little sprinkles and shade of, I'm gonna let you know a little bit more on drop the curtain a little bit more. I don't think anybody's touching him. Certainly, nobody's touching this storyline right now. This is, I think, my favorite, certainly, storyline to keep up with currently. There's a lot of other good things going on. There's a lot of, things happening in the woodwork too. But this is the main thing. I don't see anybody touching it.
No, Chase, I couldn't agree with you more, man. Roman Reigns is on a level that I have not seen in a long time. And I think you spoke to that moment at SummerSlam very well because he feels like a genuine star.
Yeah.
Like if Roman Reigns has a segment on SmackDown, I'm sorry, I'm watching it. I'm watching it every time.
Easily.
And I don't think we owe any apologies as fans for booing Roman Reigns.
No.
I never booed him as the individual. It was always the character that he was being presented by.
It was a character
WWE.
and it was time. It was never about we don't Roman Reigns will ever have it. It was just like we know that Roman Reigns has it, and you're not giving it to us.
Well, and again, I think it's funny because this might come full circle. Who knows if they'll mention this? But if Daniel Bryan and Roman Reigns feud, Roman Reigns really was just a product of not being Daniel Bryan that year. He won the Royal Rumble. Daniel Bryan got eliminated early.
Good point.
And at the whole place, it was Philadelphia. It was shell shocked. Even The Rock couldn't pull them back. And that picture of The Rock raising Roman Reigns' hand and looking at him like that. And let's not even speak to the potential of a Rock Roman feud, man. Like,
hey man, if you smell it,
I don't know if The Rock will get back in the ring. I don't know. I don't know if the movie studios would let him, but with everything happening in the world today, maybe his movie commitments aren't as harsh as they used to be. So
Yeah.
that could be an option for Mania too. But right now, dude, Roman Reigns is the star that he's always been, but we're just seeing it. And now you see my cat as well.
Hi Nala, how you doing, sweetheart?
Nah, look it down, girl.
Yeah,
We're
I
talking
think
wrestling.
you and Nala are both definitely right about this.
Yeah.
I think that this could absolutely go to the moon. I don't see anything stopping it. And yeah, even if we don't get Reigns and Rock in the ring together necessarily, I mean, here's to hoping, here's to dreaming. I think
Yeah,
that a
seriously.
Rock return just to kind of try to put him in his place would be very in a super healthy angle.
Yeah, man, and look at SmackDown's roster at the moment. You have Kevin Owens. That is a great potential feud. You have
Yeah,
either, in my opinion, you could take Shinsuke Nakamura or Cesaro and pair him against
sure.
Roman Reigns for a title match. You have Seth frickin' Rollins, Rey Mysterio. If they ever get Rey Mysterio versus Roman Reigns, are you kidding me? That would be. I don't know why I want to see that, but I want to see that.
Give it to me.
Yeah, come on.
Yeah,
And then
I feel that.
they're gonna be like the Shield and like at least 30 references to that a year because it's the Shield.
Sure.
And they'll never
Right.
mention Dean Ambrose, John Moxley. So, but at the same time, I've been loving and just to give you guys a reference to how into this I am, we wanted to make this 30 minutes and it's 37 minutes now. So
We love it.
I
We
can't
love
I can't stop talking about it. I am so into this and I am just so grateful that Roman Reigns has been afforded the opportunity to be himself. And it's not just like he's the
I think that's the
stoic.
biggest thing, man. I think that's the biggest thing.
Yeah. He's not the stoic just like Brock Lesnar
Yeah.
with Paul Heyman. He is talking, he is acting his
Mhm.
ass off, and he's putting on matches that are genuine 4-5-star bouts. Roman Reigns right now is at the top of the food chain. He knows it. I know it. Chase knows it. Do y'all know it? I hope you do, because he's going to kick your ass if you don't.
Yeah, absolutely. And one last thing about Paul Heyman, you're absolutely right. It's great because Paul Heyman is great for being the guy who talks to the person who doesn't. But
Yeah.
now he talks for the person who doesn't need him to.
Mhm.
And it's very interesting to see, even because sometimes they have little tiffs, and sometimes
Yeah.
it's like Heyman sees Roman like really, really taking it to somebody, and he can't believe what the hell he's seeing. So I'm excited to see how that goes too. I think it's been a great resurgence for Heyman as well,
Yeah.
getting him on TV with somebody else, and I think that. Yeah, man, I'm really excited to see where this can go. I mean, we have another SmackDown tomorrow. We could see
Yeah.
this unfold a little bit more, but we've got a good time until, like you were saying, Rumble or Mania comes up. So there's a lot of juice that can come out of this meat still.
There really is. And when your own consultant is afraid of you to
Sure.
that extent, that is not spelling well for the rest of that SmackDown roster. And then even I just want to speak over on Raw, we have
Yeah.
the Fiend and Alexa Bliss stuff that, hey, you guys let us know if you want to get into that because I will
Yeah.
get into that too.
That might have to be another dive in because that
Yes.
shit has been clean and crisp.
It has. It has. And just speaking on all this, guys, please let us know with that throughout this whole discussion if this is something that you like, if there are other topics that you want us to ever cover, whether it be in the world of wrestling, whether it be in the world of movie, it doesn't matter. Just let us know what you guys are interested in because obviously you can tell we're very passionate dudes. So give us something you guys are interested in. We'd love to dive in and give it a look.
Then, now, and forever, man. I mean, there's a lot of stuff certainly dive into on this stuff alone. Like you said, Evan, there's stuff that we can certainly expand upon. There's a lot of stuff built into this feud that we didn't even necessarily lay out the specifics of the groundwork for, just like dating back to the Samoan bloodline and everything like that.
Oh, there's so much.
So
there is so much.
There's a lot of really so we could get in. We want you guys, like Evan said, to let us know if that's something you want to see.
Yeah, absolutely. And Chase, as always, buddy, thank you for hosting. Thank you for talking about this with me. I miss talking about wrestling with you. And I love what's going on right now on SmackDown, man. Raw has some highlights, but SmackDown, give it a watch. It's good stuff.
It's the show to watch. If I'm going to tell anybody to watch a wrestling program at the moment, it's usually probably SmackDown. I mean, we've talked about it on this show before. SmackDown was always my program when we were younger. Even when I first started watching wrestling, SmackDown has moved times a couple Tuesdays used to be on Thursdays, but SmackDown was always Friday night SmackDown, and that was the only wrestling program I was able to watch because it wasn't on a school night. Everything else was on like a Monday or a Wednesday or something like that. But it was always great to be able to watch. Get into SmackDown, that roster of people from Benoit to Guerrero to Mysterio, it was just to Lesnar, all these people that were killing it at the time. Shout out to Kurt Angle, Pittsburgh legend. It was a really great time, and I'm glad to see be my favorite thing on TV again.
Yeah, man. I mean, I don't know if we'll ever see the type of resurgence from the Attitude Era or anything, but I feel like once things open up a little bit more, and once fans start being allowed back into crowds, which might not be for a while,
sure,
but I think you're going to see a real big boom in the wrestling business. And I'm excited for it, man. I can't wait for it. Because we were supposed to go to WrestleMania this year, ladies and gentlemen.
We were
supposed to go to WrestleMania in 2020, but instead we watched it in my apartment.
That's true. That's very true. But maybe, hopefully, we'll have that chance sometime down the line. It was supposed to be in Los Angeles next year. I think they're moving it to Tampa, where it was supposed to hold place for 36. So we'll surely see it, and we'll surely keep you guys updated through these videos where we talk about and other videos where we review our movies and things like that. And we've got a whole lot of other stuff going on the Cheap Seats Network. So make sure you're tuning into that too.
Yeah, and give us a like, give us a comment, give us a subscribe, and please, above all else, above everything that we've discussed today, give us a share. Spread us out on social media. Share our link with some people. If you know some wrestling fans, please share this out with them. If you know some fans of Roman Reigns, I mean, he was in Hobbs and Shaw, so maybe someone saw him in that, thought he was hunky. Share him with them.
He was in Hobbs and Shaw. It's very
true. Absolutely. Just share. Please, because we share the stuff that we love with you, and we want to share what we love with everybody. Share that passion, share that energy that I think a lot of people might need at the moment. So spread that love.
Absolutely, guys. And as always, if you're looking for somewhere to go, join us here in the Cheap Seats. There's plenty of room. Have a good night, everybody.
Okay, Jey.